Jason Burns, Luthier at Blast Colt. I'm going to show you this new removable neck 145. Go through all the details of how this thing works. This one's in a kind of a barn find, relic-y blonde to brown burst. It's all maple. The neck is quarter sawn maple. You can see here it's got a oil finish neck, and you can see how nice and tight the grain is quarter sawn. There's not really any difference between this model and the fixed neck. There's a small seam right here, but you know, all of the mechanisms hidden behind this coin. I did a hand pinstripe and antique cream on this one, and the sides are just dark brown. This one has hand-built Blast Colt tuners. Has the cool 4 scallops on the volute here. The back, it's got the Blast Colt logo on the peg box. And inside of the peg box, all of the angles are a radius that keeps it from breaking on any sort of shock or impact. So keeping the radiuses in here, keep it from snapping. With the removable neck, also have a sound post system in here that kind of holds itself in place. So when you take the pressure off the bridge when you're pulling the base apart, the sound post doesn't fall and cause you have to reset it. It'll stay in position where it's set here at the shop. And it's also, if you wanted to change the position of your sound post, you could move it pretty easily without any major sort of work. This one has tonemonger strings, so it has 2 plain gut, D and G's, and then a low tension A and E string. They kind of match the sound of the guts. So you got the D here. Pretty even sound across the board, and they feel, you know, the same tension, so it doesn't feel like you're going from guts to steels. I prefer this tonemonger set, my favorite ones, because they have the gut sound. You don't have the, you know, you have the note on your E and A. You get a real good sharp note, but it decays nice and clean, like kind of like a gut. Has a Channel Blaster 2 pickup system, which is bridge piezo, which is adjustable by this thumb screw, and it also has slap pickup back here. It's all EQ'd and preamped in the tailpiece when it plugs in here. Batteries on the back here, so you got a 9-volt. When you plug in, it clicks your 9-volt on and your power's on, and you have a bass cut and boost, and you have a mid-range. That's adjustable with 2 dip switches that are also back here, and you have a slap volume. It's a bit much. And you just dial a little bit of that in. And you go with the standard guitar chord. I'm going with this orange Terra bass amp. I love the thing. And it's kind of voiced for double bass. It's a really simple EQ. Works well with the Channel Blaster. So the only difference between the fixed neck and the removable neck like this is just this joint here and how this comes apart for travel. You know, this is meant to come apart and go together as many times as you want or never come apart. The construction's the same. I still use the skeleton, solid wood skeleton around the edges that kind of holds everything together. I got the lightweight tail block and neck block. So there's really no difference. Very acoustic as well. And you know, they can be set a little bit less acoustic if you're playing super loud. I can adjust the sound post for it. But the pickup's gonna kind of fix any feedback problems you would ever have with a double bass. So now I'm gonna show you how the neck comes apart. I'm gonna pull a table up here. I like to do it on a table, and it's easier for you to see how this goes. But you can also take it apart just standing up. So we're going to take the neck off, and you can see here an ebony capped neck joint This is the same piece of wood, so this is actually a complete neck, like it would be if it was fixed. So the grain is the same orientation and all of that. Simple little mechanism here, just comes off, one bolt. That back on, magnetic, magic. We're just gonna take the strings off, just like you take the strings off of any bass. And you can see here, I have these kind of switched different than a standard bass. It's so that this string, that your big fat E string, doesn't have to come out of the nut and do a crazy radius and split it. And that's a lot of times where your E strings wear out, is right here where it's pulling the windings apart, or even the gut, you know. So it has a straighter string path, and it doesn't have to do quite as bit of a curve. We put the big curve on the G string because it's the smallest radius, and it does a little bit better. Also, it helps the E string actually connect to the bottom of the nut. A lot of times if it's doing that radical radius out of the nut, you have to slot the nut really deep back here so that it doesn't rattle in here, and it actually frets at the nut, at the end of the nut. So I've got the strings kind of floppy loose, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the pickup off. So this is a Channel Blaster 2. It comes apart, so you don't actually have to worry about taking your pickup off. You just unplug it, and you can leave it in the bridge. The same with the slap pickup. Just go under here, you can unplug it, and then you just unclip your wires from the little wire clips here. Pull it out. So we're going to take down the bridge. So the strings are off now. We're just gonna put the tailpiece away, put it in your bag or your case, and just carefully wind the strings up. Just kind of coil them like you get them in the package. So now we're ready to take the neck off. You got your Allen key that it came with. I leave the end pin in. There's no reason to really take it out. This one fits pretty tight. Just keep it in there. No reason to take that apart. So simple. And it's pretty much out now. So you just want to give it a little hit with your hand here, start getting it to come apart, and then I'll flip it on its back so you can see how this thing comes apart. Take a look at this. So you can just lift it out. And it's floating on the carbon fiber rod here. The screw. It's a nice clean dovetail. It's maple on maple. The top part of this neck block is maple, and it runs the same grain direction. So when it moves through weather and age, moisture content, it moves the same way. So it's always going to be a nice snug fit. This is the bolt. So I like to just put it back in here so you don't lose it. Screw that baby in. And you can see on the back side here where I have the slap pickup mounted and the wire hooks. You can put this anywhere. That's where my hand slaps. That's where I like it. Some people like it up here. It's a little glassier up here. It's got a little bit more thump down here. Anyway, one piece ready to go. And we're ready to just pack it up now. Always put the coin back on. Just so you don't lose it. And you can see here in the neck joint, this piece is carbon fiber. It keeps it straight. It keeps it true from moving side to side. Also, this angle counteracts the tension of the strings. And it's a really nice, tight, tapered dovetail there. Fits nice and clean. So, you know, it took maybe 2 minutes to pull this base apart and get it ready to pack. These things are pretty strong to begin with, but it makes it much cheaper and easier to travel and do flights with your double base if you can disassemble it like this, or if you want to ship it. So there you go, 145 removable neck blast colt. So we're gonna put this baby back together. While it's apart, I want to show you the neck. This is a dovetail tapered, and it has the hole for the carbon fiber slide, which is here, and for the bolt. It connects it, and as it pushes in, you can see it has a taper here. This angle of the taper is opposite of the string pull, which is pulling this way. So once it pushes in, it's a nice tight fit, and it goes together the same every time. And even without the bolt on, you could still string this up and it'd be fine. It's capped here with a piece of ebony, and it's capped here just to make it look nice. But if you watch, this will just slide right in. You get it, and then you push it in. And you're there. So now we're gonna flip it on its side and put the bolt in. So we have the Allen head bolt, got your wrench, and it just goes in like this. We're gonna tighten it until it gets snug. And it's a pretty heavy duty connection in there, inside of the neck, so you can actually kind of crank down a little bit on this guy, just to keep it really nice and stable. So put it in there, and that draws it up, and you can see that how tight it is in here in this neck joint. Then we put the coin back to hide all the mechanics of the bolt. Magnetic, pops right back in, done. So now that the neck's back on, we're gonna start stringing it up. So I'm gonna put it on its back. We're gonna hook the tail piece around the end pin, make sure it's in the right slot, and we're gonna start stringing it up. And the tuning configuration I do on these bases is a little bit backwards, but it actually makes a little more sense for your strings to last longer. So we're gonna put the G string on first. It's the lowest. You can see that on a traditional bass, the E would be here, and then the A, and then the D is your tallest one, and then the G. But to keep the string angle off of your thickest string, your E string, from bending right out of the nut into your tuner, I've moved this up a bit, so that's the second string. It still tunes the same way. You won't really notice a difference when you're reaching up to tune. But it just puts a little less stress on your E string and keeps it alive longer, especially if you're taking it apart a lot and traveling with the neck off. So we're gonna start with the E string, the G string goes in first. And this helps with the little string winder, or if you travel a lot, I'd get a little drill with the string winder on it. You can make this job really fast. So I've just about got the E string and the G string tight where I want them. I want to go ahead and install the bridge. I'll have these two side strings on, the two outside strings on. The bridge feet, you want to make sure they're on right. If you have an adjustable bridge, they're always marked G, E, so you get it on the right side. There's also markings on the top of the bass that are roughed out for your bridge feet, so you know where your bridge goes every time. So we're gonna put the bridge in and get these two strings set and make sure everything's lined up. Nut here. And this makes it a little easier to put the other strings on and keep the windings going the right way. We also want to make sure our tail wire is in the slot here for it. Another thing about this base, when you get the removable neck, there's also a sound post keeper in here that holds the sound post in position so that when you take the strings off, it doesn't fall over and you're not trying to fight that and put your sound post back in. And it doesn't affect the sound or anything. It's connected to the back and it's movable. So if you want to set your sound post up a little different, you can do that as well without having major work done on the inside. It's just another way you can travel with this and know when you get there, you're not going to have to deal with fallen sound post or, you know, any other issues. I'm going to go ahead and put the other strings on. Go with the D next. And the A string is the last string we're going to string up. Then we're going to tune it up. So I've got the strings on. They're up, not all the way up to tension, but I'm going to check everything, make sure everything's straight. My bridge is in the right position. And then I'm going to tune it up. And I like to get it up to tune before I finish the rest of the assembly, just so the strings have time to stretch. I always have a little beeswax on the bridge here and on the nut so that it can slide a little easier. It doesn't bind up the string and cause it to break. And I always keep the bridge from the back of the bridge to the body about a 90-degree angle. You don't want it to lean up or forward, and you'll see your bridge feet. If it starts to slant, you'll see a space in here, and you can see these are really tight right now. That's what we want. Also, if you have the adjustable bridge and you know where you want it, now's a good time to kind of put it up there before you fully get all the tension on. It makes it a little bit easier. That's where the beeswax comes in handy. It doesn't want to pull your bridge forward or back as you tune and detune. Somewhere around there. All right, so we're close to tune now. We're going to reinstall the pickup system now. So I want to start by making sure the slap wire is in here, and I'll put the foam, isolation foam, back into the bridge. Goes here. And we want to make sure that our arrow that's on the harness goes to the metal side that has the hole here. So we're going to plug that in, and now it's ready to go in here. And we're just going to snug it up to the bridge with the thumb screw. And you know, it's still loose. It's loose enough to move, but it's holding it in place. And that's where we're going to start on our sound. So the slap pickup, we have a couple of clips, wire clips in here. They're on the bottom, and we're going to clip them back into the wire clips so it holds this wire. And then it goes up here. And we want to make sure when we plug it in also that the little arrow goes to the purloid side. So it's actually going to go to the outside. The arrow is going to be facing the bottom here, and non-arrow would be toward the fingerboard. You can reverse it for phase reversal, but this is a good way to start to see if you like how it sounds. Now we're going to plug this in and then put the last cable tie, which is right here. Push that into the clip. And now the pickup's installed. You just want to make sure the wires aren't touching each other and they're not going to rattle against anything else. So the pickup's done. Now it's ready to tune up and play. All right, plug it in and see what we got. Gonna start with the volume pretty low so we don't have crazy feedback. It's really loud and boomy, so I'm gonna tighten up on the pickup. Adjustments on your bridge and where your amp is normally set, and they're ready to play a gig.